All right. Good afternoon, guys. Happy Wednesday. We are halfway through the week. Yes. Lab day today. Test on Friday. We do have school on Friday. It was a weather day, but we now have school because of the storms from last fall. So yes, make sure to show up on Friday. And of course, we have our test as well. So more than one reason to come to school on Friday. Of course, come to see me, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Curtis.
I love how all teachers feel like they're so.
Oh my gosh.
They all are, but like.
Oh gosh, no.
We definitely have favorites. Y'all say y'all don't have favorite classes or favorite students.
Oh no.
Y'all do.
So
What's your favorite class
I
right now?
have.
Pick a class. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Quick.
So you guys are the most talky, but in a good way.
We're hilarious.
Like the conversations that we have in class, not just like side conversations, but just like as throughout our lesson, like you guys have more questions and you guys are very like engaged, and I really enjoy this particular class, especially at the end of the day, So
Just say it.
So I don't necessarily have favorite classes.
Okay.
No, you do.
But I enjoy certain classes more than others.
Okay,
That's
so
actually
which
a
one do
favorite.
you
There's
enjoy?
no way
the
like you
most?
go fourth period and you're like, oh, this is a bad class. Oh, this is a good class.
My
Now,
teachers could tell us.
There have been some classes I've had in the past that are like, can't wait for it to be over. But I don't have any of those this year. I just have, good classes and maybe some slightly better than good.
Okay, what's the slightly better than one?
I don't rank my
And
dad.
of course, there's the students too, right? And I try to be, like impartial with my students. Although it is natural for a teacher to have a bit of a closer relationship with certain students, just because like they are more apt to talk to the teacher, and so we get to know each other better. So there are years that I make really good friendships with students, and other years that not so much. It really depends on the student, and if we jive, if we have things in common, if we like to talk. But aside from that, knowing that I have already a bias towards certain students, or maybe against certain students, for any number of reasons. Whenever I grade papers, like there's not much that I have to grade from you guys, but like your labs, I try not to look at names, because I don't want any particular bias that I may have to influence how I grade those papers. So even though it's not really possible to be completely unbiased, I try my best to be fair across the board. So there you go.
Still, who's the favorite? You avoided that question. So,
He judges your lines
Answer that question. So.
okay, we're the favorite.
He judges
I
your
know you
lines.
judge my lines so harshly.
Exactly.
Every line I make on my lab, that's not straight enough.
Well,
Use
if
a
you graph in
ruler.
Excel, it wouldn't matter.
Listen.
I take offense to that. I like hands-on. I like to.
Well, today's lab, it would behoove you to graph in Excel,
Oh,
because we're changing the graph.
Oh.
I can show you guys again.
But like when you do it with your hands, it just like sinks in your brain more.
It also looks worse. It just visually doesn't.
So while I show you on my computer,
Jordy,
you
come
are
on now.
doing your computer
There's
stuff
Curtis.
with your hands.
Right.
Here.
Yeah. But
Oh.
it's really hard to
I
curve
don't even hate
fit
him being
on a
weird.
hand-drawn graph.
He's our
Right,
savior.
right.
And
Actually, no, he's our savior for this.
He's not our savior, that bum.
No, he's not. We should have.
No, let him in, Mr. Raymond, please.
Like I asked him, I asked him, he was like, these are not fun. Like, with
He used to be
kids.
the plug.
He's like,
He used to be the plug. He's not the plug anymore. Here we go. Here we go.
Anywho,
Where's the
our
poster?
dad joke for today. How do you hire a moose?
How to tire a moose?
How do you hire a moose?
you charge them.
Plug, he's not here.
That'd be the worst way to hire someone.
An interview, I don't know.
What is it?
Moose tracks.
Hire a moose.
Alright, here's our answer.
No, we
You
didn't.
put a brick under each hoop.
That's not funny.
Hire.
Oh,
A moose.
That is garbage. Burn it up.
I said
It
moose
is a
tracks.
plan word, yes.
All of us can't be slacking at the same time. Someone needs to walk in. And it's not gonna be me.
Oh
Does anybody know anybody?
Take it back now, y'all. Alright, here we go. Let's talk our lab. I have so much fun teaching.
Bro, what's your
Okay,
rank on
so
that? What's your rank?
Show you.
Overstimulated.
Yeah, I got some things left over.
You're gonna do it like 5 times.
Oh, you want to go get yours just out of the classroom.
Dude, I saw a TikTok on it. I saw a TikTok.
How was your poster?
I was scrolling through Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Well, perhaps she should go get
Flip
it.
it. You used to be a plug. You're no longer the plug. What did he do?
Yes, that's fine. All right, guys. So our plan for our lab today is a magnetism lab. Yes, magnetism lab. So we've already learned in a past lesson that a current passing through a wire creates a field around it. Okay, and we use the right-hand rule. And even though it wasn't part of our equation sheets, we learned that the magnetic field was proportional to the current. So the more current we have passing through the wire, the stronger our field strength. But it was inversely proportional to the distance. So I was thinking, and I actually just made up this lab this morning. All right, so my 1A class, they were my trial because I worked out all of my kinks with them, but I'm good now. So I was thinking, well, is that also true for a bar magnet? Right? Because technically the magnetic fields should be similar, but because of the shape of the bar magnet and the shape of the field lines are different than the circular shaped field lines around a wire. So that begs the question, do these fields, do they operate on the same relationship as what we learned before?
No.
Well, the lab is designed for you to find out. Okay, so this is kind of like a discovery lab, because it's not exactly what we did before, but we're seeing what this new thing, if it matches what we've already seen before. Okay? Now, good news is there's no actual calculations here. Well, kind of. Let me step that back. There may be calculations, but the end answer is not a number. Okay? You are not calculating something as the end result. The end result is we are trying to find out, based on the graph of our data, does this match up with this, or does it have some other mathematical relationship? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We've got some field sensors that we're going to plug into our computers. They are going to use the Logger Pro software. Okay, and we are going to basically, so if this is our sensor, we are going to hold it in a particular spot. We are going to measure the distance away from the edge of our magnet, and we're going to read the magnetic field strength that the screen shows me. Okay, and then so essentially what we're doing is we are collecting 10 points, because 10 points makes a good graph. And so I'm going to set it at 1 centimeter away. I'm going to record my field. 2 centimeters, record my field, 3 centimeters, you guys get the idea, okay? So, easy peasy. Now, because the field lines are shaped differently closer to the poles than in the middle of the magnet, I figure, well, let's test both spaces and see if there is a difference or if they are the same, and how do they compare to what we know about the wire. So we are going to test it through the midline axis, so as we're testing in the middle of the north and south, as well as choosing a pole, it doesn't matter north or south, okay, but we're going to do it the same way along the polar axis as well, okay. So we are collecting 2 sets of data, one for the polar axis, so R and B, and then one for the midline axis, R and B. Now, after you get those, I want you to graph them. Now, the instructions are all in focus, so this is just a review, okay? So I'm going to ask you to graph it. So if you graph just the field versus our R, and it's a line, then we know that the relationship is what we see here, that the field is directly proportional to the distance, okay? But if it's not a line, if it's a curve, we're gonna test to see if it matches that. So we know that this is going to be an inverse of our relationship, so just like we've done before in a previous lab, we're going to manipulate our data. We're going to take our R's and we're going to do the inverse of those R's. Okay? Don't just leave them 1 divided by 0.5, because that's not simplified. Excel doesn't know how to graph that. Okay, so make sure that you actually calculate through to get a decimal. Okay, and then you will graph the field versus the inverse of R. Okay, and if that gives you a line, then we know that we found our relationship, and it matches what we know about our Y. If not, then I'm going to ask you to go through the Excel options of trend lines and try different ones. Like it could be exponential, or a log function, or it could be a power function, or a polynomial function. So there's all sorts of different curve fitting options in Excel. If this doesn't work and if this doesn't work, we're going to have to just test it out. Now, as we're testing it out, we don't necessarily need to display the equation, but it's always good to do so. But we're also going to display the R squared value. When you go into the little menu to hit the equation, right underneath is the display R squared value. This is like a statistical thing that, that tells you how close the data matches the trend line that you chose. Okay, so if it's equal to 1, it's perfect. Like exactly perfect. You got it right on the nail. Usually in labs, we're not exactly perfect because there's always some sort of error, okay? But if you have a value of 0.99, awesome. 0.99, it's okay. 0.97 or below, it may not be exactly what you think it is, and we need to change the trend line type and see if we can find something that fits better. Okay, so if you don't know how to graph in Excel, I can show you guys, but you need to collect your data first, and then I can re-show you as well. This is going to be basically, if you get to the point where you want to show me, hey, like, does this look like it's the right answer, then feel free to come up and show me. But basically, I'm just going to look at your graphs, and that's going to be the checkpoint and making sure that you guys know where we end up with this. Okay, so we should be able to, most of the groups from 1A got it done. A little less than most 2A got it done, but that's just because they were slackers. You guys are not slackers at all, so I have full confidence that we can get everybody's lab done today and get that extra point. Okay. Let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, perfect. Yeah. So I've got 7 sensors, so you guys can stay in your groups. add your tables. The sensors and the magnets are over at the back table, as well as the rulers. And instructions are in focus. Check with me if you need any help. And let's get started.
Oh, is it individual?
Huh?
Individual, right?
Yep.
What's the max? Simple. Just take that one, please. Or is it table group? Oh.
Table groups, yes. Yes.
Only table groups?
Table groups, yeah.
What if my table groups aren't here? Then you're not here.
Well, then, I mean, there's one person from your table here. Now, if you guys wanted to join forces with another group, I would be fine with that. But maximum 4. Max 4 per group.
You want to plug it into your computer?
We can. I'm trying to figure out how to put a table in.
Thank you. I'm coming, thank you. I'll be back.
What do you say? What do you say?
I need a refresher on how to put a table on.
Okay.
My X and Y.
So whatever goes on the x-axis will go in the A column, and the y-axis stuff will go on the B column.
Okay.
X, Y, left, right.
Yeah. How do I put the table to make it look?
Lender. I got a group.
So we want at the top the label with the units, and then just put numbers underneath.
Yeah.
What are the units?
No, just want to ignore everything for now. If you want, you can go. I've got like a cushy chair back there. You can lay down back there if you like.
You okay? Oh, never mind.